Good evening, everyone, and welcome to these cosmic ascension waves of light, or the call as they're known. Today's date is the 26th of February 2025, and it is 7:11 here p.m. in Ireland. And today we have Shakara Tosha joining us again for the second time, and I'm very much looking forward to what she has to share and her knowledge and wisdom and transmissions and teachings. She is a star seed that I see as I've been shown there are different levels to star seeds, like everything else, and I see her very much at the forefront of that, very high level soul, next level, so,
Next level.
next level, yeah. So, Shakara, I do have some questions for you, and welcome back. Sorry,
Thank,
welcome back.
thank
Would
you. I'm so happy to be here. I love speaking with you and connecting with you. I just love your energy. So I do have a little dog in my lap. He might move around a little bit, but yeah. But so I'm really happy to be here and just talk about whatever you want. So,
Thank you, Shakara. So this is the second interview, and it doesn't really feel like an interview with you because because we connect so well, and there's a lot of other energies going on there, um, etherically, between the distance that is um, tangible.
yeah.
But there have been things going on with me personally, and but I'll mention that later, and that's to do with the reading that you gave me. Some really great things, lots of improvements there in
Beautiful.
certain aspects of my life, and
Hmm.
um, I won't say any more about that publicly, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, so without any further ado, I have just moved, and I had made a list of questions for Shakara.
Hmm.
But with moving, I haven't been able to unpack properly and find them, so that will probably be for the next one.
Sure.
But I was just taking some notes just now, and things I'd like to you to talk about this evening
Sure.
um, is Chief Golden Eagle
Hmm.
and the Galactics, and
Hmm.
you feel like doing some light language,
Sure.
um,
Always.
and also the for people watching, for the tribe,
Hmm.
is what's going on now, and balancing and ascension, and how do we navigate the times that we're in, and all of that stuff.
Sure. Absolutely.
Where would you like to start? Do you want to start with Chief Golden Light Eagle? Because I have questions within that.
Sure. So I guess what I want to say is every time I connect with people, it's always more a ceremony, and this has a lot to do with ceremonies that I did with him, which we can talk about later. But I think, like you said, it's not an interview. We're just two souls connecting. And there's a lot of energy from people that don't know my work. I'm in touch with lots of different guides all my life, but especially the last 10 years, a lot of guides have come in. Arcturians are my family as far as I understand. And I know you're connected to the Pleiadians. I'd love to have an Arcturian Pleiadian connection. That's what's going on. So we're, you know, what I want to say is we're all connected. We're all made of stardust. We're all connected from the stars and that kind of thing. But like you said, certain people that are coming here are new souls. Some are old souls that have been on Earth many, many lifetimes, probably. And what I call guides, I have like what I call my team of star guides, which are elementals, they're ascended masters, and star people. So, as I mentioned before, I see star people. I've talked to them in person, physically, and dream time and ceremony and that kind of thing. So to me, this is always like just bringing in that energy. And, what happens, what I notice is, I connect to your guides and also whoever may be watching this even later. It's kind of tuning in with whatever needs to be said. So I'm a muse and they're my muse, for whatever information needs to come through. And then with the light language, I speak lots of different light languages as you've experienced. So some of them are star languages from these particular star races. I speak Arcturian, Pleiadian, Tau Ceti, Orion. There's a cute little dog here. And and different languages, even Sasquatch and divine feminine, and a lot of different energies. And so when I speak this star language, sometimes it's like you mentioned, you're psychic, you're a psychic seer, and sometimes it's codes, holographs. What I've written about many times is that I connect with, you could call it Akashic or maybe cosmic, these codes of creation, which are energetic. They're information. I mean, it comes in lots of different ways. So when I speak this star language, it comes through as packages. It's like I'm downloading packages, and then it's less about translating or interpreting. It just comes through as information, on many different levels, many psychic levels. And then people pick up what they want, and it's really an awakening. It's an awakening language and an activation. So this happens in lots of different ways. So when I speak this language, it's sometimes I mean, this is what I was finishing up in this one of many books I'm doing, is it comes through as like I said, information. It can be healing energy. I mean, it does so many things. So there's like a broad range of these vibrations. It's really light, sound, and vibration. So I just wanted to mention that. But I would like to say something in light language. I usually do this like in my sessions at the beginning and the end to sort of bring in the essence of the energy that's here and whatever we're going to talk about. I think my higher self or my guides kind of know what we're going to talk about. So it kind of tunes us in at a different frequency. And then it helps me pick and choose and decide what to say. So, it's a connection that way. And you and I are psychically connected. You know how I can feel you. I can
It's
feel
so
you.
strong.
It's very strong. Yeah. Yeah. And so this is the other thing that's really interesting. Anybody, it's all the law of attraction. So anybody that vibrates with your work or is attracted to your work also does this. So I really want to stress this, that if somebody's watching you or watching me, they can do this too. They don't have to. It doesn't matter if you speak light language or not, but you're in tune with these frequencies. So, we're really calling each other back. Like when I met you, there's an immediate connection, soul sister, so anybody that hears this already does this, maybe at some dimensional level. And so it's like an awakening of codes. It's an awakening of frequency, but it's something that everybody already has within them. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. And yeah, I'd like to just share a little message.
Please do. That would be
Whatever you want to
lovely.
talk. Okay. Excuse me. Shukutu singere wasanene no washante. Isama no lu katainene no washama to skinene no washanko to sama no washankete se. Isama no la kainene no washampo usukutu singere wasanene no washanko. Asama no sukutu singere wasanene no washanko to waska. Ese que tu shingere wasane aktine no shamoto la kaine no shamoto skito to shine. Asa musuko to shingere wasane no shanko to skito to shinge. Isamano la kaine no shanko to skine no shanko bo la kaine no shanko to stiju stinge. isemman mo shanga dua singin wa shanda dua sangu bo shako to shinge situ to shingin wa sam dula kannen wa shanko bo saka to shingin wa sannen wa shamo to saka to shange iti dula ka nemo so mo so ko to shingin wa sannen wa shante. So that was little message that came in. And so what happens for me when I'm learning all the time because this is new experiences every moment, but I felt the presence or the vibrational frequency of this ancient Lemurian grandmother that comes in a lot, that I think works with me, or I work with them maybe on another dimension. There's Arcturian language, dragon language, this very what I call like an ancient elder. It's like a wise teacher, maybe mantis, maybe, some of the galactic, and a couple different things. So this is what's really interesting for me is, I've tapped into this range of guides, and each guide has a principle, a frequency, a message. They work in different ways. And so whatever comes in is really for the other people. It's like, whatever needs to be at the moment. So part of that was healing, and, part of it was activation. And when I do this too, I'm what they might call a clear channel. I don't really call myself a channel. It's more transmissions, because I think it's me being my star self in the physical. So what I was writing the other day was, my guides are showing me there's so many levels of, not levels, different expressions of people here. There are people that are really star seeds that have never been on Earth before. There are earthly beings who have been here a couple lifetimes, hundreds, thousands of lifetimes, and they've gone through being an elemental, being a piece of grass, being an animal spirit, maybe other people, archetypes of things. And I had a client ask me the other day, like, are we our ancestors? And I think sometimes yes. That we have these lineages that we come through, our ancestral and genetic blood lineages, but then we could have jumped timelines. So it's this braiding of all these different things. And then, whether you're a galactic first time here or whatever, my guide showed me, which was really interesting, is I'm not a hybrid, but like I'm this blend of a soul who, what I was shown, again, this is just what I was shown, but I'm a soul who has been here many, 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 probably hundreds, thousands of lifetimes, so I came in somewhat awakened to that experience, but also my Arcturian self came in. And what I was shown, which I haven't talked about a lot, is that I am Arcturian. So this is one way that we are. So I'm totally physical, human, but my soul self, or I don't know, it's not even an overshadowing. It's like, this is what an Arcturian is in the physical. And I feel that with you with Pleiadian. I mean, we're this blend. So it's not a braiding. I mean, there are so many different ways that this happens, walk-ins and braidings and everything, but it's like a full soul self. So I came in as somebody who's been on Earth many times, but this other aspect of me, kind of 50-50, is the star person, who hasn't ever been here before and kind of experiencing the Earth in a new way. And so that's really interesting to kind of, like, both aspects of myself teach each other, So, and I just want to mention, I don't know why, but I'm being shown to talk about this. And again, this is not, I'm just telling you my personal story, but it really is what a lot of people may be experiencing now, and they may not understand it yet, is as these veils open, we're becoming more and more aware of these higher aspects of ourself and these star aspects, and coming into the Earth now to be of service to people and also have these experiences. So I have many experiences quite often, almost daily, of going up to an Arcturian ship and going in these rooms. And I'd love to share about that at some point. But I have been shown I'm taking that and bringing it down through all these dimensions and understanding, that kind of thing. So when you mentioned the Chief Golden Light Eagle, he and I got together with a mutual friend of ours, Grandma Chandra. I don't know if you've heard of Grandma Chandra, a very high vibrational being, physical. But anyway, she told me, she speaks through her mom. And when Eagle was there also, she said that an aspect of me comes from the 66th dimension. My ears are ringing. I'm feeling the chief here and her here and all these things. And what she said to him about me in front of me was that there's an aspect of me that is coming down from 66, 65, 64, like all these dimensions into the physical and translating these really high frequencies, if you call it that, into a way and language and socialization. I mean, it's been very challenging all my life, being social, but in a human language that people can understand in a very simple way. And I think that's what the breadth of my huge body of work is all about, is taking these really quantum concepts and making them very simple and useful to people. So anyway, so that's part of what it's like an alchemical process, and writing these books and all the downloads and everything it's been an ongoing process. I think of understanding myself, understanding what it means to be human, but also like traveling in these realms. I mean, I go in and out of worlds both simultaneously. So the chief and I, he was doing this too, I think, in his own way. And when we met, we recognized that in each other. And I was writing thousands of codes and symbols and putting it in my artwork. But I was speaking this star language. And he was doing something like that at another level, bringing in these codes and everything. So I could talk more about that later. But anyway, so he and I kind of met at this congruent moment. I worked with him probably 8 years straight, probably 7, 8 years. But when we saw each other, we immediately recognized each other as brother and sister, probably a couple lifetimes. And it's really interesting. We telepathed with each other. There was a lot of, ceremony we did together, a lot of teachings we shared and that kind of thing. But it really was like this very interesting partnership. And I think his work is so significant. I think people, when he was walking on this plane, he passed in 2021, but when he was here, he was doing gatherings and ceremonies in the Star Knowledge Conference that he did for like 20 years with incredible people. But I don't think people really understood at the time what his, true purpose, message, or whatever was. And I think on one hand, he was getting all these people back together. I think that probably knew each other or worked with each other, but it really was activating these codes within everyone so that each person wakes up and realizes they have a purpose, they have a message, and that kind of thing. So I think on a really profound level, that's one of the things. I have a book I'm writing about things he told me, things we talked about, and that kind of thing. But I think he was just a phenomenal being of light. I mean, Golden Light Eagle, I mean, he really lived up to that name in many ways, I think.
And what is the position now of the Starseed conferences? What has happened with them since? I know that I did connect in with Jennifer Berryhill a few years ago, because Chief Golden Light Eagle did come to me in the dream time, and I ended up doing a channeling for her. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember I think that was a private thing. I don't think that was a public thing. Mm-hmm. But what is the position now with the conferences?
So a couple of things. So he, in ceremony, brought in all these codes that are called 11, 11, 12, 12, 13, 13. And they were made into books that are still distributed by his daughter. I don't know the exact website. I think it's starknowledge1111.com, something like that. So his daughter, Nikki, has kind of taken up the role of continuing these teachings. And she and a couple other people are starting to actually teach these teachings in these books, which are really profound and they're very deep. And so, and I think she was minimally involved probably during his lifetime about the conferences or the work he was doing. And so, but it's a remembering. So she's got it in her. And she is now doing these gatherings. She still does. She's doing new gatherings, Star Knowledge conferences. So she's continuing that work. And people like Jen Berryhill and other people that have worked most directly, like, you know, like I did, really one-on-one and together in all these ceremonies. We've done so many different kinds of ceremonies together. At Serpent Mound, you know, there are people there that are doing incredible work to continue this, but also kind of take it to the next level. So some people are, you know, teaching the work directly from what he taught, from the books, from there are calendars related to the moon calendars, the 13 moons, which are related to these symbols. I mean, it's a complex but interesting system. So there are elders like this woman named Silver Star, who was one of the elders that brought in these messages together with this group, who was very instrumental in writing these books and editing these books, helping pull that together. And she's still teaching these calendar systems. There are other grandmothers, Morning Star, Unshi, Kaya. I mean, there are other elders that were part of this, I'm not going to say inner circle, but close circle of people that were really doing this work, that are still doing it. You know, in addition to that, every single person that spoke at all these conferences, I mean, they're like anybody and everybody who's in the New Age world, in the scientific world, in the just many different worlds, indigenous elders from all different tribes and all different backgrounds, all different countries, spoke at these conferences for about 23 years. I started going to them about 2014. And that was when it was starting to shift a little bit. Anyway, anybody that has connected with him or spoken with him or whatever are obviously continuing to do their work. And what was so interesting is even in the book, it says, take these symbols and make them your own, right? So the symbols in the book, 11, 11, 12, 12, 13, 13, there's teachings about each one of these. They were guides. So like in 11, 11, I can't say the title right now, it's not coming to mind, but it's called the 11, 11 Symbols book. There are, he's listening. He's like, you better get this right. Universal and spiritual symbols. So one, the symbol that was universal is feminine, and it was straight up. And then the universal is tilted on its side, which is masculine. So there are 11 universal, 11 spiritual. And each of these symbols had guides or messengers that come with them. So every symbol had an earth messenger, like some being from the earth realm, an ascended master messenger, and a cosmic or a star messenger. So I was really attracted to this work because I've always seen all these dimensions working together, all these guides working together and that kind of thing. And so these are principles, these are universal laws that, according to him, as I understood, and then my guides came in and also explained this to me, that they are these universal principles that every conscious, awakened, aware star system follows. So if you see one of these symbols were brought to him in a by a galactic tribe. Apparently, the Orion people appeared to him in a dream time. Went out. I mean, I'm not going to tell his story, but the way that he started himself getting activated with these symbols, I guess, was they appeared to him, and he went outside his house and he saw these star people physically, and they were standing in front of him, and they, I guess, telepath, as far as he explained to me, these symbols very quickly. And so he was on Ancient Aliens, the TV show, and he's holding a bar of these symbols, the 1111, the 1111 symbols. And then when they started talking about Roswell, all these ships that had crashed there or they recovered had these same symbols on the ships, same symbols. And so if you can research, you can go online and look up Roswell symbols or something like that, and they were the exact same ones. So apparently, when he and I were talking about it, he said that there are these universal, it's almost like the Ten Commandments. It's like these universal symbols or principles that all the star systems follow or adhere to. It's like the law of balance, the unity. Again, I'm just shifting through cycles here, but innocence, truth, and purity, they're basic principles of life. And it was so beautiful because when you put these all together, not only do they create like a master symbol, I guess a sigil, they superimpose, and they work in a lot of different ways. But I found him, I connected with him because I saw this one symbol online and I knew this symbol. I knew these symbols. I was drawing these symbols over and over and over. And the 1111, 1212 is the ways of the galactic spider. So there are different symbols in that book related to cosmic energy and the weaving of the spider. And there's spiders, at a cosmic level that are related to different star systems, Arcturian, Pleiadian, that kind of thing. And then the 1313, he was telling me 1212 and 1313 really are feminine symbols, and the 1313 was something completely different. And I was drawing all these symbols. So I didn't even know about the 1313 book. And I was at the house, my daughter and I lived with him and his family for a little while. And I was just drawing these symbols, and he looked over my shoulder and goes, and then we started bringing in these symbols in the sweat lodges, and people would talk about the messages and people would share things. And it was just really interesting. So definitely a deep connection for me with these symbols. And then he also gave me I call it a codex of all these symbols that people have sent to him. And he handed it to me and said, you're going to work with these and do something. So that's like one, like 50th project down the line of something else I'm doing. But anyway, the symbols are like, they carry energy. So I could spend hours talking about that, but a lot of times, okay, one thing, like he's here telling me how to explain this. He pops in all the time, almost physically. I can feel him touching me or standing behind me or whatever. But one of the things that's interesting about symbols is they're, it's my Arcturian people are also kind of sharing this. So the symbol, we have been so ingrained to think of symbols as logos and archetypes in our culture, the McDonald's symbols or Apple or Amazon or whatever. It's gotten away from the real essence of what a symbol is. If you look at ancient cultures, Egyptian, Tibetan, et cetera, these symbols like Om Mani Padme Om, etc., carry a frequency, but the symbol, if it's done correctly in a way, it's vibrational, positive, it carries the essence of the thing that it represents. So I have a whole book that I'm finalizing about symbols and essence and vibration. But if you circle a symbol, you activate it. So a lot of times, I don't work with the dark arts, but I'm very aware of the the dark energies, but you know, so they'll do a thing and circle it or whatever. But it's a very positive thing when you're like activating something, and the symbol comes alive. It's an essence of something that comes through it. So I've done this with my own script and writing and even the art. But anyway, there's so many things I could talk about symbols just in and of themselves, but they're very much alive. So when I speak the star language too, you could say I'm just freestyling. A lot of people say, well, it sounds like gibberish or whatever. But to me, it's like I'm tapping into light, sound.
Can I just intervene there? Because um when you said that, when you said some people might say it's gibberish, I felt a real negative connotation with that. And I think you're right. And I think that those people are not on the same frequency. So it's okay for them to think it's gibberish, but but I would encourage those people to raise their frequency.
Well, so here's the interesting thing. You know, I have this
Because
book
it's
about
not gibberish. It's not, yeah.
So it's really interesting. I have been shown that we have all these codes in us. It's like we're walking templates of a blueprint that has access to all the Akashic records, all the symbols, all sounds, vibrations, frequencies, like at so many levels. We already have it in our human template. And the problem has been over hundreds, thousands, millions of years is this programming that has basically, even what you see today, language is being distorted, meanings of things, values of things have been distorted. So people in their 3D mind have lost these, have forgotten these abilities to tune in with higher frequencies. Everybody can do this. This is what my work is about. Like, you could do it, anybody could do it. It's just we've forgotten and we've been talked out of it. So when somebody hears it's just coming, right? But people's minds, because their minds have been trained to make it mean something. Well, what does it mean? How is it related to the English language? It doesn't have a structure. I can say duishenge, and then I can say it's like working on vibrational level. So it's not that people are at a lower, I have to be very careful about the language that I use. The language is explaining about language. Everybody has access to all of these frequencies, all of these dimensions, all of these vibrations. We've just been dummied down. I mean, this is the program that people are awakening. So out of. So this awakening, this ascension time, what I've been shown is these blinders that have been put on us. Some of them are negative energies. Some of them are, you know, people in power, that are manipulative, have put things in place to keep those people in power, in control. But every human being, every sentient life form, every animal, has this ability to tap into this stuff. So people, when they hear something that's out of the realm of something they don't understand, they do understand it, but they have forgotten the lifetimes. You know, there's a block, or it's in their subconscious, or how can I explain this? They've been it's weeded out of their context. So they say, well, it doesn't sound like English. You know, their ear is trying to hear, and it's not literal. So if I say, it's not like Jill is walking down the street, and it's not like a sentence structure. It's multi-dimensional. So when I speak this, because I know you're psychic and you said that you see this, it's like if you know or research, Kandinsky was a painter who I love. I mean, I'm an artist, so I always relate things to art. If you look at his paintings, it's like he's painting a whole orchestra, um, like a score of music on all different levels. Paul Klee was somebody else like that. Hilde van Klimt was, if you look at these artists that are tuned in to these higher frequencies, you see it immediately. I love seeing anybody's expression in art because there's a rawness, like they're tapped into that frequency that doesn't require an explanation, a filter. So when people say, well, what does that mean? What did you just say? I will say, well, it's a frequency that I, just like you, I see and feel. And I'll tell you what I get. You tell me what you get. Let's compare notes. I mean, it's constant, it's endless possibility. And so when I do this, what happens, which is really interesting to me, is I'm getting learning, understanding. I'm seeing diagrams, pictures, like quantum understandings about even a little topic. And when I speak this to people, what usually happens, at least for me, to the people, is they get activated. Some people will feel buzzing in their body. Some people will see pictures. People tell me, wow, you took me on a journey in 2 minutes. Like I'm not even here. I'm in another dimension. So it's really fascinating to me. So there are so many people that do light language, and they all do it a little bit differently, which is so wonderful. I mean, I really want to honor the way that it comes through different people. People do mudras, dancing, singing, toning the language. But what's interesting is that each person brings in like flavors of codes, like their own sequence. And everybody has a different experience. I have been shown, for me, how it works with me, how it works for me, and what it does to people is basically helps them remember. So when people hear that, their literal mind goes, well, I can't make sense of it, because we've been taught to make sense of things, to understand, to quantify it, to rank it. I mean, this is what's happening with social media. Like, how important is it? Where does it sit? Where is it happening in my brain? But it's a very fluid thing.
And I think sometimes, Shakara, that the well, I don't think it. I know that often with the light language, it's an activation of an energy. It activates something within me that opens energies to connect in on a more galactic level, or to connect into a piece of or a teaching or a vibration or a frequency even that is contains ancient knowledge and wisdom. But more than that, it's an ancient frequency that I often feel that has been lost. And of course, language came from sound, which originally had a very different meaning, because the language has been manipulated and changed to mean something else. So it's of a lower frequency. And then, of course, there's the aspect where of so many words having been taken out of all different languages. So I think we should. I'm kind of going to cut tonight short a little bit. Please forgive me.
That's fine.
But I know that we'll be doing lots more of these.
I'd love, yeah.
So I hope, if that's okay with you.
I would love to, for sure.
Great. So I'll be much more prepared next time with all my questions and everything. I'll have unpacked everything, and I do feel Chief Golden Light Eagle here, and I have a feeling that he wants us to connect in with with Jennifer Berryhill, and to do just to connect in, and what else was I going to say? Yes. So before we go, would you be happy to do a light language?
Sure. Okay. So I'm supposed to sing this. I sing light language also. I rap and scat and all that stuff. We're rapping. It comes in my little friend like that. It's vibration. So it's interesting. So what he's showing me to say is, the indigenous songs are star language. Like he taught me that Lakota is Pleiadian, Tuatokia takelohe, Tuatokia takelohe, Waziata tukaya te watayani anaya pitelo. Tuatokia takelohe. That's a beginning of a rock calling song that we do.
That's so powerful.
Mm.
I almost started crying there, and then I was remembering I did that previously with you.
Crying's great. You're crystallizing.
It's a release. And what else was coming to me when you were doing that is, have you thought of releasing those as a series of recordings?
Yes, I have. That's one of the things I'm working on.
Okay.
So so that was actually a calling song, a rock calling song, in the Lakota language for, Sweat Lodge and other things. What I'm working on right now, actually one of 15, 20 projects, is toning and singing light language, my own light language, lullabies for children.
Wow.
For healing meditation. I mean, I'm in the process of rolling out this
That's so
stuff.
beautiful.
So I can share a little bit of that if you'd
Please.
like.
Yeah.
And again, this is just freestyle, but I have very specific things that I focus on with that language. So Shungo dualakine no shama dualakine no shi. No la kano sim to sing no si. Shuno la kaine no sing to la kine no si. Ah, shuno la kaine no sing. Ah, to sing. Mo to la kine no shango lo kine. Namano Sumatu.
Beautiful. I've no words. It's just wow.
Oh, here's the dog. Look.
Oh.
Dog, animals feel this. Children feel it.
Yeah.
It's vibration. You can see him. He's like,
Yeah.
Children feel this too. So we're all just going back to our innocence.
Yeah. Please.
Anyway, thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you, Shakara. And how can people reach you? And what services and what services do you have? And how can people reach you? And what do you have going on at the moment that you'd like to share as well?
Thank you. So there's a lot. For 10 years, I mentioned I've downloaded hundreds of thousands of pages, diagrams, symbols, information writing that I've now put in this, what I call the big book, which is now what I'm breaking up into little books. So each chapter is now its own book that I'm rolling out. So I have this book called Ascension Now, about the stages of awakening and ascension, but there's a book about creativity, light language, higher dimensional tools. I mean, basically all the stuff that these guides have showed me. And then there's books on each of these groups of guides: Sasquatch, Star People, specifically Arcturian, Divine Feminine, etc. So I'm in the process of rolling out those books, but then there's all these messages from the guides, so that it's like a series upon series. I mean, it's an incredible amount of stuff that's written. Now I'm just introducing, and I'm doing in the last 2 weeks, I've finalized sort of a catalog of all these different topics that I want to do at events. You know, I do private events or public speaking or whatever. And I basically got the catalog of like 300 crazy, very specific teachings from these books that I've modified into things that I can share. So topics, teachings, tools, activations, you know, process things, techniques. So that's a huge body of work that I'm rolling out. And then products related to it. So there's oracle cards for each of these guides or topics, etc. So right now, I have been, up until now, I've been doing like general sessions so people can ask any question, any topic, but I'm honing it in on, you know, career advice, life things, star people, star seeds, like very specific topics that people can do in sessions, directly one-on-one sessions with me. So right now, anybody can go to my website, which is my name, Shakara, Shakara, Tosha, TOSHA.com, and do a private session directly with me, which I probably won't be doing too much longer. I'm going to expand these into workshops and courses and stuff, but I do sessions. I also do, like you mentioned, I draw people's soul portraits. I feel the energy of them, and so it's codes and artwork, or I draw their light code symbols that represent something that I pick up from their frequency. Among many other things. So there's a lot of stuff coming out, and I just want to say, if anybody's interested, they can sign up for my newsletter, because I'm going to start to announce all these things, the books, the new sessions, and that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm here to be of service to people. So whoever feels connected to me, reach out to me. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to share what I've learned. And there's so much knowledge, but it's not just mental. It's very practical for these times, as people are, you know, expanding, learning what's going on with the shift in the world. Like, what am I doing here? What's happening? Where are we going? I mean, it's pretty much a whole, if you want to call it, system that I've been shown that I'm just sharing with other people. So yeah. So thank you.
And I had a reading with you recently, and it was just amazing. It was a 2-hour session, and you covered so much. And I normally, when I get a reading with someone like you, which I don't do very often, I always I'm aware that afterwards I'm going to be tired, and I'm going to need to sleep, because what you did for me was also, I don't know if I don't know if that was your intention, or if you were aware of it, but also I had a healing that came with it,
Yeah.
at no extra
Usually
cost.
Yeah, the bonus.
So bonus, yeah. So after you gave me your session, which really went into which I was really went into detail with, in one aspect of my life, and I won't share that because that's private to me. But you covered a lot of stuff there, and afterwards, I had to sleep because I knew I would need to, and I really felt Chief Golden Light Eagle around during that session as well. But after the session, I slept like a baby, and I always step into a really calm space when I get readings like that, which is not very often. I very rarely have readings from people because I'm so my standard is very high. You know, I won't just go to anyone. I won't go to someone at the psychic fair, or that's wrong of me to say that, but I won't go to someone who's at the circus, you know, that I won't go to those people, because it's really sacred actually to me to get a reading. So anyway, after the session, I slept, and then the next few days, what the questions I had during the session, there was energy that was healing aspects where it needed to be. And it was like a clearing, and things have really shifted within that whole what we were talking about. Really shifted, like from one extreme to the other, and yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
it's
what's really interesting is that thank you for saying that. And I love to hear people's experience because it's, you know, it's new every time for me. But what I find, what I've been shown on my side is that I work on so many different levels. So it's a mental shift of patterns and belief systems. It's like somehow, and it's me and the guides. This is the thing that I'm stepping up to the plate about, is it's also me doing this in conjunction together with this team. And it's a what usually happens for people's mind, body, soul, spirit, and etheric. There's a mental shift or a release of a belief system or seeing new patterns, new possibilities. Then there's a feeling there. It's a very emotionally connected thing, which again is usually dynamics and patterns that are releasing and being inspired again, like, oh, I don't have to do this thing. I mean, it really is a shift over. That's the healing, you know. And then it's your spirit, your higher spirit is like the higher self goes, wow, you understand, you're listening, you get me, you know. And I feel that with people too. And then it's etheric, like, wow, there's so many other things I could be considering. So I use this phrase all the time, I'm looking for answers in the sea of possibilities. But it's not even answers, it's like direction from the higher self. I think this is, I mean, there's so much that happens in these sessions that now I'm being educated on, like that I'm putting in this book about me. I'm writing my memoirs basically of like what it this experience is for me, which is really interesting. And but it's a shift and it's an activation, but it's really a remembering. My favorite phrase is remember who you are. Like this is what Chief and I talked about, is a remembering that everybody has this in them. Everybody knows why they're here. They know what they're doing. So my job is to help them whittle away anything that's not them to get to that source, which really is connected to source. So that's usually what people feel. That's why it's so profound.
yeah.
So I'm, you know, when I hear that from someone like you or anybody I've done a session with, reminds me, okay, I'm doing my job. I'm doing the work, and you know, it's being helpful to people. So I appreciate that.
And can you just mention your website again? How can people find you?
Sure. So it's Shakara Tosha, my name, which I think you can see in this call, shakaratosha.com. And I am in the process, probably in the next week, you know, early March, updating lots of different stuff, putting on new content, meditations, downloads, shorts, you know, inspirational affirmations and new services, all my books and everything. Like everything is coming at once. So, you know,
Get
get tuned
ready.
in. You can newsletter, get ready. And it's very, there's definitely a process that's coming. So I'm really excited about it. It's like the new me, the new, you know,
Yeah.
and connecting. What's really interesting, I just have to say personally, is connecting all these aspects of myself that a lot of people didn't know. I mean, I worked in the corporate world in New York for 35 years. I'm an artist, did all the sacred ceremony, you know, like those parts of my personality never could find a place. And it all makes sense to me now with all this media and multidimensional teaching. So
Because it's all
anyway,
connected.
it is all connected.
Yeah.
And so that's what I learned. That's why it came to me this way. All these guides, all these topics. I mean, my friend keeps saying I wrote the Cosmic Encyclopedia. Well, I didn't write it. I just tapped in, but symbols, diagrams, art, performances, ceremony, like all these different things that I already do. I'm just rolling it out. It's like I'm showcasing all these things and they're going to be live, you know. It really is like a launching pad. I'm giving birth to all this new stuff, that I've always done, but I'm sharing with people for the first time. And so that's very exciting. I feel very confident about this work because I know it's helpful to people. And it's fun. You know, I have a lot of fun doing this. So that's the most important thing, you know.
Thank you
And I
so
get to meet
much.
wonderful people like you. So thank you.
Yeah, it's quite a journey, isn't it? I mean, the people that we get to meet are just
If
the
not, well, there's phenomenal people everywhere. I mean,
yes.
every person has a story, every person has an angle, and every person is wonderful. I mean, every single person has something to share and
Yes.
something to learn. And so this is that it's just continual
Yeah.
exchange. So I really appreciate, you know, giving me
Thank
this
you.
opportunity to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakara. So, um, yeah. Oh, and
There-
what else do I want to share? I think that's it for this evening. But thank you, everyone, and thank you, Shakara, and hopefully, see you over maybe next week or the week after. And is there one message that you would like to share with people?
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust that your higher self, every aspect of you, everything in every part of your bones and your being and your essence knows what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Everybody has this ability. And so when you're making a decision, go to the higher self, go to your heart. It's always heart connection, and just ask what makes me happy. It's really finding that coherency, finding that passion, and that keeps you going through these times. I mean, it's a lot of changing things, but it has a really important purpose. We are entering into this amazing new age that is phenomenal. And so don't worry about whatever's the last thing I'll say is just don't tune in to all the riffraff going on out there. None of that. It's important because we're part of this society, but everything comes down to going within and also making human connections. Go out on the land, make connections with the elementals and the sun, soak up the sun, drink good water. Like these things are crucial to keeping yourself awakened. So that's what I want to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.